Welcome back, everyone. We're up to Unit 5, Lesson 2. In this particular lesson, we're going to start talking about vertical and horizontal translations or shifts. So for vertical shifts, we're going to talk about how we can express these shifts using function notation. And as you can see here, when we're doing a vertical shift, the amount that we shift by, whether it's a positive shift, meaning we're shifting up, or it's a negative shift, meaning we're shifting down, okay, the amount that we shift by is going to go outside, the parentheses, okay, and we're not going to do the opposite, okay? So it's going to go outside the parentheses, and we're not going to do the opposite, okay? Similarly, if we're shifting down, same thing, okay? If we're doing a horizontal shift, we are going to do the opposites, okay? So in this case, okay, we're going to do opposites, okay? We're going to do opposites, but we're going to do the opposites on the inside of the parentheses. So opposites will go on the inside of the parentheses. So I gave an example here, okay? Minus would normally mean shifting left if we're talking horizontally, but because we're doing opposites, okay, the minus is actually going to mean a shift to the right. And same thing with positive. So to recap here, if we are doing a vertical shift or a vertical translation, we don't do the opposites, and that goes on the outside of the parentheses. And if we're doing a horizontal shift or horizontal translation, we have to do the opposite, and that goes on the inside of the parentheses when we do our function notation. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and look at the examples here. Okay, so the graph of function g is a vertical translation of the graph of function f. So this is g and this is f. What kind of translation is it? It's a vertical translation, okay, as it says. How much of a translation is it going to be? Well, let's, for example, look at this middle point right here. Notice it goes from 0, the y value goes from 0 to 4. So this would be a vertical translation or a vertical shift up 4 units. That's an important thing to realize. Okay. So number 1, complete the g of x column of the table. Complete the g of x column of this table here. So the important thing to realize is because we're shifting up 4, and when we think of vertical movement, that means y-axis or y values. All we're going to do is we're going to take all of the y values and we're going to add 4 to them, okay? We're going to add 4 to them. So, for example, the g of x, this is going to become 4 because we're going to take the y value of f and we're going to add 4 to it. So this one, negative 5.8 plus 4 is going to be negative 1.8. Okay. 0 plus 4 is going to be 4. Okay. Negative 3.3 plus 4 is going to be 1.3. So negative 3.3 plus 4 is not going to be 1.3. That's my mistake. It's actually going to be 0.7. And then 0 plus 4 is going to be 4. Okay. So again, all I did was that I took the y values of the f function and I added 4 to them because I was shifting up 4. Okay. So there's number 1. Okay. Number 2, if f of 0 equals 0.86, what is g of 0? So f, I'm going to do this one up here. F of 0 is equal to negative 0.86. So f of 0, so that would be what they're telling us is, and let me use a different color. They're telling us this point right here. So they're saying when x is 0, y is negative 0.86. Okay? And what they want us to figure out is use that to figure out what is g of 0. Okay? So what is g of 0? Well, to figure that out, I have to do the same thing I did in this table here. I have to take the y value and I have to add 4 to it. So negative 0.86 plus 4, since it's shifting up 4, okay? So negative 0.86 plus 4 is 3.14, okay? So that's 3.14, which means that g of 0 is equal to 3.14. So this point, all right, let me switch back to red here. This point moves up to here, so it becomes 0, 3.14. So in other words, g of 0 is equal to 3.14. Okay, and then it says explain how we know. How do we know that this is the case? Because the vertical shift, the vertical translation, the vertical shift or vertical translation is up 4 units. Okay. Number 3. Okay. Write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x for any input x. Okay. So to do that, we're going to go back to our lesson notes. Okay. And we're going to look at the vertical shifts. Okay. So to do that, we're not going to do the opposites, and it's going to go on the outside of the parentheses. So what do I mean by that is this. So what we're going to do is we're going to write it as g of x equals f of x. Okay. And our vertical shift, we said, was up 4. So we're not going to do the opposite, meaning we're going to write it as plus 4, and we're going to put that plus 4 outside the parentheses. So write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x. This is my equation right here. G of x equals f of x plus 4. Okay? We didn't do the opposite, so we did the plus. Up means positive, and we put it outside the parentheses. Okay? The function h can be written as h of x equals f of x minus 2.5. Complete the h of x column of the table. So notice it's f of x minus 2.5. So this is going to mean a vertical shift down 2.5 units, which means I need to take the y values of f of x and subtract 2.5. So I'm going to do the same thing I did here, but instead of adding 4, I'm going to subtract 2.5. Okay. So this one is going to be 0 minus 2.5. So that will be negative 2.5. This one's going to be negative 5.8 minus 2.5. So this will be negative 8.3. Okay. This one will be 0 minus 2.5. So negative 2.5 again. Okay. This one will be negative 3.3 minus 2.5. So negative 5.8. And then this one, once again, will be 0 minus 2.5. Okay. And that's it for number 4. Okay. Number 5, sketch the graph of the function h. So I'm going to plot the points and then sketch the graph. So when x equals -4, okay, when x equals -4, y equals -2.5, which is approximately right here. Okay, at -3, it's -8.3, which estimating will be about right here. Okay, let me fix that. Okay. At -0.7, so when x is -0.7, be -2.5. So that's going to be like right here. Okay. At 1.2, so 1.2, and then -5.8 is going to be like right here. Okay. And then at x equals 2, we're at -2.5 again. Okay. So when I draw the graph, it's going to look something like this again. So it has the same general shape of the f function, except it's shifted down 2.5. Okay. Write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x. So write an equation for g of x. So if I look at g and h, and I compare those, I go from 4 to -2.5, -1.8. So this would look like I'm, from G to H, I'm actually going down 6.5, right? Is 4, let me double check with my calculator. Okay, 4 minus 6.5 is equal to -2.5. So for this one, -1.8 minus 6.5 is -8.3. So when I write my equation here, I'm going to do number 6 over here again. Okay, this is going to be a vertical shift down 6.5. Okay, if I'm comparing G and H, it's a vertical shift down 6.5. Okay, so when I write that, okay, I'm going to write G of X, okay, equals H of X minus 6.5. Okay, G of X equals H of X minus 6.5. Okay, so again, I do the non-opposite, so minus 6.5, non-opposite, and I go outside the parentheses. Okay, and that is it for lesson 2. Obviously, the purpose of this lesson was the focus was on vertical translations. Our next lesson, we're going to focus primarily on horizontal translations.